This is the sound of common sense defending freedom. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Absolutely spectacular. The president's speech last night, amazing. And I got to tell you, spot on accuracy. I give the president 100%. He passed 100%. If you were grading it on a test, 100%. A gold star for the day. Absolutely spot on with his State of the Union address. Skip Lacombe, do you concur?
No. What are you talking
100%.
about? Spot on, accurate.
I was critical last night when we were tweeting. I'm admitting that. And then,
yeah, as well you should.
But see, then Skip, when we talked to Jay Severin and Dana Lash last night, I realized something. We're being too hard on the president.
I don't think
we're not judging him how he has asked to be judged. How has he asked we judge people in the future? Common Core standards.
Oh,
if you apply his speech, if you apply Common Core standards to his speech, Skip Lacombe, how did the president do?
A+++. 107%. He gets extra credit.
If you apply Common Core standards, the president did a marvelous job. He was one. Good job, Barry. You get a gold star for the day. Now run home, tell your mom, run home, tell your dad, go ahead, tell him you get an A+ for the day. Yeah, Common Core standard spectacular. I'll bet when he headed up to the West Wing, when he closed the door, and Michelle and he finally private conversation, and she said, I think it went pretty well or whatever. I'll bet he said, yes, I think it went well, and he probably did a little dance.
Oh, you think he danced even?
Well, you know, you're with your wife. You're like, I pulled it off. I did a great, so you do something like that. I'll bet he did it. And if he did that by itself,
even better job last night had he done a dance about it.
Did he attempt to do a good job, Skip?
Absolutely, he did.
Did he show up? Did he show his work? Did he explain what his reasons were?
For the most part, he really did.
Now, did he actually get anything right using
no.
normal?
No. I mean, no, absolutely no.
But based on Common Core, we're not supposed to.
Tried.
Exactly. The results don't matter. I mean, Skip, when you look that there are still, by accurate standards, double-digit unemployment rates.
Yes.
We've got high underemployment rates. More people than ever on food stamps. There's more Americans than ever save the Great Depression by percentage in poverty. Health insurance rates are up. Gasoline costs up 79%. The federal deficit has gone up. The national debt, rather, has gone up by 55%. When you actually look at that, no, he's done a horrible job. But Common Core, he tried. I have seen him showing up to work. I mean, yeah, he's taking a lot of vacations too, but he's been there a lot of the time.
I mean, for the most part, he's more often at work than on vacation.
True. Well, did he show up last night? Do you see him in front of the cameras? Do you see him talking to people and talking to members? I see him out there all the time saying, John Boehner and members of Congress and Republicans are standing there. He's out there proposing the stuff, Skip.
I mean, he was late last night.
Yeah, that's true. That's really
But he
true.
did show up.
Yeah, I think that's it. So, by Common Core standards, spectacular. I think that's the reason they push Common Core so much, is because they want to be judged by Common Core. I think that's the reason teachers push it, because they're hoping they'll be judged by Common Core. The president's hoping he'll be judged by Common Core.
I mean, that certainly makes more sense than anybody actually trying to sell the idea that Common Core is a good idea.
True, and it also doesn't makes more sense than trying to sell the idea that steaming pile last night is in any way accurate. That's the only way it was accurate. And, the people responded, Skip. Last night we were using a couple of hashtags. The first one we were using was The Blaze SOTU. State of the Union, SOTU, the Blaze SOTU. We got that thing trending worldwide during the run of the speech. That's not an easy feat to pull off. Worldwide, one of the top 10 trending things. There was only one other news source that had it trending the entire time worldwide, and that was Fox News. That was it. And that's because of you. That's because the Blaze listeners are involved. These are people who are knowledgeable and passionate. And if we keep that up, we're going to kick some serious butt on the other side because these people aren't involved. They're not engaged. They want to line up and listen to the president spoon feed them a bunch of garbage and go, it was wonderful because he mentioned soldiers and he mentioned the flag and he said, God bless America. He really cares about us. He said, give America a raise. I love that guy. Look at him. He's so cute. That's what they want. But they're not engaged. We are engaged.
There truly is no listener base or no viewer base that is more dedicated, more loyal than the people that Glenn has following him at the.
That's
Blaze.
not BS, and I'll tell you why.
Not at all.
We had it trending worldwide, and Fox News had it trending worldwide. The only other one that did it. What is our audience size versus Fox News' audience? It's not even close. It's not. Now that we're growing by leaps and bounds, and it'll get there. But Fox News is a gorilla, simply because they are on every cable system out there. That's the first thing. You put the Blaze on every cable system, we get a few more people in the store, the level of passion we have, it is done, folks. It is all over. That's one of the reasons we keep saying, I want the Blaze. Tell them I want the Blaze. Thank you for that, by the way, because we had that trending the other day. So thank you. That's an indicator of how passionate people are, how engaged they are, and that with continued effort, it's going to work. The other hashtag we had people using, and we got a lot of responses, was my SOTU response. My SOTU response, because the president gave a speech, the GOP gave a speech, the Tea Party picked Mike Lee to give a speech. But what about you? I mean, you're probably pretty aligned with Mike Lee's speech, maybe even some parts of the grand old party speech. But what about you? What was your response to certain parts of the speech? A line here, a line there. And the nice thing about it, you could just send out a couple of lines here and there during the speech. So we asked people to do that, and people overwhelmingly responded. There is a lot. Some of them responded to the president. Some of them responded to GOP, the Tea Party, the whole thing. Go through them later today. Hashtag my SOTU response, SOTU response, or send them out right now as well, and we're going to share some of them on the air. Of course, we'll still use our What I Learned Today hashtag too. But tweet at Doc Thompson Show and at Skip Lacombe. Big Daddy-O said, if Obama were to send a written SOTU to Congress, because I said, why don't you just go ahead and send a written one? Why do we still have this pomp and circumstance? We're concerned more about the pomp and circumstance than the meat. Go get it done. Big Daddy-O said, if Obama were to send a written SOTU to Congress, 90% would be redacted.
That's true, though.
Here's my State of the Union speech, and he hands it to him. There's all these big black bars over everything. Xander said, after listening to the speech, I feel violated. I think I need a shower to wash away the filth that was just sprayed on me. Yeah, that's true. I mean, assuming you're not applying Common Core standards. Mm-hmm. Caleb said, how is it the president was hyped about oil production and bothered with global warming?
That is kind of odd. You would think they'd be a little contradictory.
Yeah, exactly. When he has made them contradictory, they don't have to be.
Exactly.
But they have the whole time.
For a progressive, that's very contradictory.
Yes. Again, my ideas are right in line. Listen, man is not causing global climate change. The climate changes all the time. It is never static. It always changes. It always moves constantly. Over day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, and also century to century, millennia to millennia. This is always how it is. Man-caused? Absolutely not. So we can produce oil. Now, I still don't want people polluting the earth and water because I like the clean earth and I like the clean water and I like the clean air. I want those things, but you've got to put it into reason. You can't say we're not going to let people produce oil. We're not going to let them get some natural gas out of the ground or build a school or something because somebody found an endangered tufted titmouse they claimed they found an endangered tufted titmouse or a Lebanese fruit bat or some crap. That's the difference. My ideas are consistent. They're in line. The president's are not. So when he says stuff like this, Caleb's right. Hashtag hypocrite. That's what it comes down to. By the way, did you hear all of his stuff on the energy production? Folks, if you are the low information voter out there, you don't know the facts about this stuff. So you hear the president saying stuff like, we've produced more energy and we're going to continue to do and we're moving forward and all of this stuff. That's not true.
Well, and people are going to take that as fact.
Sounds great.
Re-disseminate that over the water cooler today. Talking with PO. So, hey, PG here. The U.S. is more energy dependent than we've ever been before. Yeah, we're poised the best place in any other nation in the world.
The thing is, if you know the facts, you recognize that our energy, which first of all, we are producing a great deal of energy at home now. Natural gas and oil. We've always produced a great deal of energy at home. Natural gas and oil. And even more so coal. And we've also had nuclear. We've had all kinds of stuff. So our increase in oil production, because, look at North Dakota's booming, and parts of the Midwest and Appalachia when it comes to natural gas production. Eastern Ohio, down by Youngstown area that he was talking about, over into western Pennsylvania, booming with natural gas. But these things aren't as a result of President Obama's policies. They're in spite of his policies. Where is he with nuclear? The president hates nuclear. He said over and over in early speeches, including States of the Union addresses, well, we can talk about nuclear. Everything's on the table, except he hasn't done anything about this. And what about increased offshore drilling? Where is he with that? The only people drilling off our shore is foreign countries. We've actually given money for oil production off the shore of places like Brazil. We've given money to places like China to say, yeah, you can't drill off of our shore. We can't do that. Brazil, sure. We'll prop that up so Brazil can have energy. So, Caleb, that's a great point. I can't pronounce his name. Faked Meister. Anyways, his response using the hashtag #MySoToResponse. If the 8 million plus jobs Obama took credit for were real, why does he need Congress to extend unemployment benefits?
Well, that's certainly a good question because, if that actually were true, you wouldn't think he would need to come out and ask Congress to extend unemployment benefits.
Yeah, that's true. If truly when he says a great 8 million to 4 million, 100 million, billion, 10 zillion jobs, whenever they say that, there's no way to qualify that. There's no way to actually come up with numbers. We did this, so that got a job. That's BS. That is BS. There's no way to count it. Number two, how do you know that you didn't also cause a job to be lost with that same policy elsewhere?
Or two for everyone.
Or 2 or 10. We don't know if they really created 4 billion new jobs and lost none, or lost 4 billion and created 1. We don't know. There's no way to do it. All they do is look at the number of people that either fell off unemployment or they can count a job based directly on something they did. For example, they'll say, well, we gave $1 billion to research, and now there's 14 people working on research for whatever project we're doing. So that's 14 new jobs. Yeah, but that's not the whole story. Let me lay out another. We're talking about energy. The president always talks about creating good green jobs. See, it's good for not just his crazy man-caused global warming, greenest, extreme, progressive EPA agenda. It's also good for jobs in the economy, Skip. So anytime they float $1 billion or $10 billion or $100 billion to someplace like Solyndra, even if they fail, they created jobs, Skip. You don't understand. Solyndra, how many people did they hire for their year in service? Right? 1 billion jobs, 1 million jobs, 100 jobs, whatever. They count those and they say, look at the jobs. And the president says, green jobs, green jobs. Eventually, we would get to a point where we have too much energy. I mean, you could create enough energy, theoretically, where we go, we have more than we could ever use. We need to scale back on energy production. We're not going to use everything they create. If they suddenly generated 1 billion times the energy output that they currently use for the planet Earth, we're not going to use all that energy. Therefore, if the president says we've created green jobs, that is at the expense often of a non-green job, a brown energy job, or whatever you call them. That's a great point. If he really got 8 million new jobs, why do we need to extend unemployment? It's brilliant. It's absolutely right. What are yours? My SOTU response. My SOTU response. Send them now. We'll share some of them on the air coming up. I got some more I got to share, too, including some responses To Kathy McMorris, McMuffin, McGriffin,
McLovin?
Was that a cat? Whoever gave the response for the Republicans. We'll share some comments about her stuff and get your opinions as well. You can also give them to us live on the air, 888-900-3393. So tweet at Doc Thompson Show or at Skip Lacombe or call 888-900-3393. This is The Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Alpha Tax Extreme Beam. We have these up at our house in the mountains, and I'm telling you, I can practically see the top of the mountain with this extreme beam. First of all, the company believes in truth, freedom, and liberty, and they spread the gospel around the globe by using light. It's a great company, and their LED flashlights are hand-built and virtually indestructible. They're focusable, they're waterproof, they're weapon-mountable, their battery life is the best in the class, and best of all, their beam goes thousands of feet and outperforms every other flashlight on the market. It is truly a remarkable flashlight. Military and police teams from all over the world depend on Extreme Beam's top performance and reliability, and so does my family. They have a lifetime warranty, and you get 15% off when you use the promo code GLENN. Go to extremebeam.com now and see them in person at Sportsman's Warehouse stores nationwide. Extreme Beam, truly shining a light in the face of darkness.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. 888-900-3393.
Oh, the so-do responses are coming in. Coy, who I actually was going to share one of his from last night, just sent us one using the What I Learned Today. Using Common Core standards, I should be thanking POTUS for the sunrise this morning. That's true. Using Common Core standard, it's his, because I think one time in his life, as a small child, he drew a picture of a sun. It was a little sun with a little smiley face.
He talked about it in Dreams of My Father.
Mm-hmm. I think J. Frank Marshall helped him. Is that who it was, J. Frank Marshall?
It was Bill Ayers.
Is that who helped? By Common Core standards, Bill Ayers never blew up a police station. It never happened.
He wanted to. He thought about it.
Yeah, he can tell you a song about him or sing a song about not blowing it up. Coy, that's a great one. Coy had several other good ones last night that I got to share. He said, hashtag my so-do response, I almost turned to stone with all of the Feinstein and Pelosi close-ups.
Ugh.
That's a Medusa reference.
Yeah.
Turn to stone with the look upon their turn to stone. Yeah.
The snakes in their hair.
Yeah. Listen. I'm not going to let you call Nancy Pelosi Medusa. She is not Medusa. She's the crypt keeper. She doesn't look like Medusa. How do you know what Medusa looks like?
Truth lives here, folks.
Right. Now, she does look like the crypt keeper. Right? I mean, come on.
Because she is the crypt keeper.
They did show Dianne Feinstein. I saw her. I didn't see Barbara. I saw Barbara Mikulski. Or I didn't see Barbara Mikulski. And I think it's because what with the Senate being in there as well, they just didn't have the room for her. And by that I mean with anybody else being in the House chamber, they just didn't have room for her.
Notice Chris Christie wasn't able to attend.
Have you ever noticed you've never seen Barbara Mikulski and Chris Christie in the same room at the same time?
You're right.
That's right, because I don't think they can.
I mean, God knows they couldn't get on one of those congressional members-only elevators together.
Did anybody check the Golden Corral during the State of the Union address? Did anyone check the Sizzler? To see if I think she was watching. I think she was watching from the Sizzler, Skip.
Just shoveling it in there.
I think she was.
The buffet.
I can't eat another bite. Oui, monsieur, Madame Mikulski, it is wafer thin. Oh, all right. Put it on my tongue. By the way, Coy had another great one in response to the GOP response from Kathy McLovin. He said, her response felt more like an infomercial. I expect to be asked to donate 15 cents a day. Coy, a great point, but I think it's important you remember that for just 15 cents a day, you can help fund another disastrous GOP presidential run. For just $15 a day, the amount of money you spend on a reasonable cup of coffee, you can help fund another disastrous progressive GOP run. All right, tell us your response. What was your response to any part of the State of Union address? Tell us now, 888-900-3393.
You're listening to The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson
on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
888-900-3393 or tweet at Doc Thompson Show or at Skip McComb. You can always use that hashtag What I Learned Today, but we're also using my So-To response and getting some of those in, and they're starting to come in.
Yeah, we just had Unmuted Mind tweet at us with what I learned today. I thought Medusa was Hillary Clinton. That's why Bill used to be stoned. No, see
what he did there? There was a couple of tie-ins,
It's a little different, being stoned versus turning too stoned.
Right, exactly. It's slightly different.
It's a little bit different.
Also, Ruthie had my So-To response. This one specifically with regard to Kathy McLovin. She said, well, she's hitting most of the hot spots. God, pro-life, women. Too bad she's not saying anything.
Yeah, there's that.
Skip's response, folks. I got to witness Skip's response to the entire State of the Union as he got to witness mine. My State of the Union, I'll let Skip describe it in a couple of seconds because I was only a second. It hadn't even started and I was ticked off. But I'll let Skip describe what he witnessed of me during the State of the Union. I watched Skip tweeting and listening, and all of a sudden Skip would go, but no, he'd send something out. But then when it got to Kathy McLovin, he was a couple seconds in and he's like, and, okay, enough about you, your kids, and your family, and you were not happy with her.
Dude, they went into her 4-H resume. She was talking about the ribbon she used to get at the state fair.
You know, one time I got second place in cattle raising, calf raising. I had a blue ribbon chicken once and made an apple pie that won third place.
Why at all during the GOP response to the president's State of the Union is she talking about herself?
Now, I will say she's not the only one.
No, they always do.
The president did it, and the president talked about John Boehner's background as well. Folks, I'm tired. This is not about you. If the president really believed this was about the people, Skip, why wasn't it about the people instead of this nonsense of where anybody can whatever and the son of a bar owner and the son of... well, whatever the hell his dad did, could do was
single
anything.
mother.
It's not about you. It's about the people out there. You really want to lead? Knock that elitist red carpet rolling. What? Why? Why does the president need to glad hand everybody, and why do they need to glad hand each other? The president actually went over, spent a moment with John Kerry, shaking his hand. The president doesn't have contact with John Kerry?
I think he has his number.
I would hope so. I mean, listen, if some lower member of Congress is excited because they get to go over and shake the president's hand, because even members of Congress, the president isn't returning their calls. It doesn't work like that. Sadly, it doesn't. Okay, I understand, and they want to, hey, okay, it's kind of silly, but all right, fine, I'll give you that. John Kerry works for the president. He's the president's spokesperson. What are you doing on the floor wasting our time with this nonsense when you can talk to him anytime? Right? Hang on a second. Let me stop here and talk to John. What's he saying? Hey, by the way, I left that thing on your desk. Can you take care of that Tuesday?
John has a meeting with the president, I would think, virtually every single day.
Actually, and here's the thing. He doesn't.
Oh, because
that's
he
what we
go to his
found
daily.
out.
You're right.
They don't
You're
actually
right,
meet. The
security
president
brief.
doesn't. You know who the president meets with? The heads of unions. He meets with Trumka and these other knuckleheads all the time. He's not actually meeting with the cabinet. He's not actually doing that stuff. Sadly, they're not. Maybe that's his only opportunity. Did you have any of the other State of the Union responses?
Yeah, we had some really good State of the Union responses, too. We had a Moose chiming in. $10.10 an hour for dishwashers and servers. Service members at the rank of E1 make $18,200 a year. At 40 hours a week, that's roughly $9.50 an hour. My so-to response.
So wait a minute. So the president's little $10.10 an hour is less than
a enlisted one service member.
less than all the enlisted people in the military that he was out there just loving up. Look how much I love the military.
But with his pen and with his paper, he wants to make sure that those dishwashers and servers get up to $10.10.
I'm pretty sure he could raise the pay of the military. I would think he can. And if he still
no, you see, he'd have to go through Congress for that. He couldn't just.
I mean, I might be wrong about that, but I think as commander in chief, he could do that.
I'm sure.
And if not, what member of Congress is going to say, yeah, we can't give them a raise up to 10-10?
Oh, I know who. Eric Cantor.
Yeah.
Paul Ryan.
That's a great point, Skip. That's it. Okay, let me touch on what he just said about the minimum wage, because that was one of the center focus. The two big takeaways that most low information voters that actually stumbled across the State of the Union last night are going to take away, and this will be what the president uses to try to get Democrats elected this fall. And this is what the Democrats will use. Number one, the Give America a Raise line. It was one of the most powerful lines of the speech. It's BS, but it's what yes, you're right, give America a raise. That's one of the power. The other ones was honoring Corey when he stood and they gave him the standing ovation, and that's what they'll take away as well. But if you actually know anything, if you actually look around, you do your research, you understand the problems with what the president said and what they did. Number one, when it comes to minimum wage, government-mandated minimum wage is a job killer. Listen to me. Government-mandated minimum wages is a job killer. It will hurt the economy. The president's not interested in helping people or helping the economy. He's interested in control. That's what this comes down to. This is not me just, foaming at the mouth. It's not me just throwing out talking points. The president wants a socialist agenda. That's what he's moving towards. I know this because even during his first campaign, when they talked about capital gains taxes, when he was running, Charlie Gibson, ABC News, look the clip up. Charlie said, wait a minute. In the past, anytime you've lowered capital gains, anytime it's been lowered, and he cited 3 or 4 examples under Reagan, whatever. He said it's been lowered. The federal government actually took in more money in taxes and was able to pay their bills or more of their bills, go into debt a little bit less. And he said, so you'd be in favor of lowering capital gains. The president said at the time when he was running, no, he wants to raise them. Well, why would you want to do that? It's been shown that you actually bring in more money. It's better if you lower them. And his answer was, do you remember the one key buzzword?
Well, it's because of fairness.
Fairness. It was fairness. Fair for who? Lower income people can invest in the stock market and investments all over the place.
They can take those risks as well.
Many do with 401ks. Many have their pensions in this stuff. So how is it fairness? It's fairness because the president wants control. They want to be the decider of who gets what. That's all it comes down to. Raising the minimum wage, a government-sanctioned minimum wage, is a job killer. He cited a company and had somebody stand up that the company, happened to do it on their own and raise everybody up to $10 an hour. Good for you. Great. Wonderful.
Well, and that is a world different than a government-mandated minimum wage, than a private business owner deciding, I want to pay my employees more to be. I mean, that's capitalism. That's free market. The government mandating it is something entirely different.
I think he said that company was a pizza shop in Minneapolis or someplace. Anyways, he said he raised them up to $10 an hour. Well, there's a couple of interesting things about that. Number one, capitalism, it's does he have enough money to give them $10 an hour? Many businesses, because of the economy, do not have that extra money. They just don't. Number two, he felt he needed to do this for whatever the reason, out of the goodness of his heart or to get better employees, whatever, that's his decision. A government-mandated one is a jobs killer. But, Skip, when it comes to raising the minimum wage, why $10.10 an hour? He wants to bring people, out of poverty? A livable wage is what they kept saying, Skip, a livable wage. President Obama believes making $10.10 an hour is a livable wage. Do you think that's a livable wage? Why $10.10 an hour?
I mean, if he's really trying to help people out, why is it not $12.10 an hour?
Skip, why is it not 100? This is the simple thing you have to ask whenever they say a minimum wage needs to be raised. If that is such a good idea, why not raise it to $1,000 an hour? All of us, everybody, it's be a minimum wage. You don't make $1,000 an hour, it's got to be raised to $1,000 an hour.
I mean, think how much more money everybody would have if we all got paid $1,000 per hour of work.
Right.
We'd all have more money for our mortgage, for gas.
Wait. $10,000 an hour, Skip. Just force those companies to do it.
That's even better than the $1,000 an hour that I was thinking.
Wait. $100,000 an hour. Why not if it's such a good idea?
And if everybody made that, think how much money everybody would have.
What am I doing here? $1 million an hour, Skip.
Wow.
Why 10-10? What, that's all the businesses can afford? There's plenty, I'm sure, that can't. What does it make? Why not 10-20? You know what 10-10 works out to? Works out to $21,000 a year. So the president and everybody else is saying $21,000 is the livable wage? Boy, that's quite generous of them. Livable wage, $21,000 a year. Really? Yeah, maybe for a family of one quarter. No, not one quarter. I mean, a quarter of a person, maybe. Sure. $21,000 an hour isn't what I would consider a, quote, livable wage. So why that? And for whatever the reason, they've come up with this wage as something they think they can get, or somehow this keeps people below paying some tax. Somehow, the specific number of $10.10 an hour plays into their progressive agenda. So you're going to wait in the next couple of weeks or months as we roll this thing forward, because this is going to be the marching order for the Democrats and the progressives over the next year in order to get people elected, because it sells. Give America a raise. Those heartless bastards on the other side don't want you to have a raise. See, it puts the Republicans, those that are actually in opposition, conservatives, libertarians, Tea Partiers that understand it's a jobs killer, that the government shouldn't be involved in markets, it shouldn't dictate to, free market. It puts them as the evil boss who just doesn't want to give a raise, siding with business and all of this nonsense. That's what it does. But as it goes forward, the magic number of $10.10 an hour, we will find out, has specific meaning. I guess $10.08 an hour, Skip's not a livable wage.
Oh, come on. How could you
10.09?
No.
Not going to do it. 10.10. Whoa, we're here.
See, we're finally there. You know what's crazy about it? The president thinks that $21,000 a year is a livable wage. Then why does Congress make 8 times that?
That's a great point. President makes $400,000 a year. Why does he make so much? So that was the one part. The other part, when the president and everybody gave the standing ovation to the military, as they should, if it's from their heart. And it should be from their heart. They should be thankful for what these people have done. I watched them. It was one of the rare moments at a State of the Union when you will see everybody standing and not just clapping, but cheering feverishly, passionately, loudly cheering and clapping. Skip, these people, Democrat and Republican alike, were going bonkers. The military at that moment were like rock stars. That's how they were treating them, as they should. But how many of them actually believe it? I watched them, and I said, look at these people. I tweeted out, look at them. They're going crazy for the military. But if they really supported the military that way, if they really believed in the military, then why did Democrats and Republicans alike vote to cut military retirees' pay? That was the Paul Ryan plan that everybody went along with. In order to get the job done, don't cut any of the other waste, the parties, the graft, the corruption, but cut military retirees' pay. Why did the president deny the World War II vets? And why does the Veteran Administration still piss away money on parties instead of giving it to veterans? These people stood and cheered, but don't actually care about the military, people who've served, dedicated their lives, people who've retired in the military, people who went through World War II. They don't care about them. If they did, they wouldn't oppose them and fight against them every single day. The president doesn't support the military. John Boehner doesn't. Eric Cantor doesn't. None of them do. Or they wouldn't have denied the World War II vets, cut the retirees' pay, or allow the Veterans Administration to suck. This is the Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. Streaming stimulation that is safe for work. Only on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Coming up at 8 a.m., the actual State of the Union. Not the State of the Union address, what the actual State of the Union is. We've been taking your, my, so-to responses. Continue to send those out. Jay Severin may grab some of them today as well. So throughout the day, and maybe even on into this weekend, Buck Sexton or Chris Sausalito, yeah, whatever. They could likely use them as well. So use that hashtag #MySo2Response, and we'll share some more throughout the program. But coming up at 8, the actual State of the Union. The president and other presidents love to say, the state of our union is strong. It's not strong. I'll give you the actual State of the Union. It'll be my State of the Union address. You want to know what it is? I'll share it with you coming up at 8 a.m. this morning right here on the Blaze Radio Network. By the way, folks, we are looking for your pictures and video of Tea Party-type events from the last 5 years or so. Would you share them at docthompsonshow@gmail.com? Please email them send them to docthompsonshow@gmail.com. Include your name so we can give credit as we put it in our Tea Party documentary. And also, if you include where the picture or video was taken, what city, something like that, and if you have the date, that's great. Doesn't have to have that, but make sure so we can credit you with this stuff. Because we are producing a Tea Party documentary. The story of the Tea Party has not been told, not accurately anyway, and we're going to do that. We've been producing it for quite some time. It's due to be released sometime this spring. We'll have more details on that coming up right after the news break as well. I'm going to share with you some of the cities we may be premiering the Tea Party documentary in.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. Only on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury. Warning, the following program has been cited for its copious inclusion of the word freedom, and therefore has been deemed a concern. Listening may subject you to additional scrutiny by the IRS, DNC, TSA, NSA, PBS, IRS, NPS, RNC, GAO, DOJ, EPA, NASA, CIA.
This is the sound of common sense defending freedom. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Hi there, I am Doc Thompson, along with my producer and sidekick, Skip Lacombe. If you're new to the program, thank you so much for checking us out. You can get the show on demand anytime. Of course, we're live right here in the morning, East Coast time, 6 to 8 a.m. on the Blaze Radio Network, and also heard on some terrestrial stations like KEIB in Los Angeles. You can also, though, get the program on demand. Just go to theblaze.com/Doc Thompson. We have a page up there for all of the podcasts of all the shows we've done, or most of them anyway. And also it has a Twitter feed and some other stuff up there. It's theblaze.com/Doc Thompson. Skip and I were anxious to tell the true story of the Tea Party. I've gone to countless Tea Party events. I was involved with some of them from the very beginning in Richmond, Virginia in 2009 on April 15th. And I realized something. The Tea Party is being, and has been for a long time, painted in a light that's not favorable, and it's certainly not accurate. Most of the people that say these things have never gone to an event. They don't know anybody. They don't understand what the Tea Party is saying because they don't want to understand. They want to paint them as extremists for their own benefit. That's what it comes down to. Both Democrats and Republicans in Congress want to do that because it benefits them so they can keep their power. Remember, polarizing and division is the way they keep their power. The mainstream media also attacks them because it gives them a whipping boy. It gives them somebody to hate. The very people who are telling you, don't hate, don't do this, have created a villain. out of nowhere. They did the same thing with Sarah Palin and other characters. They've done this because they need somebody to blame and hate. It's Hitler tactics. Blame the Jews. It's Stalin tactic. It's Lenin tactics. You've got to blame somebody, the rich people. Give it to the workers. It's primal. It's evil. And unfortunately, it is part of who man is. That's what we do, sadly. Well, we realized they've been doing that to the Tea Party, and I said, no more. We're going to produce a Tea Party documentary that tells the truth. It'll be released sometime this spring. We'll have more information coming up in the coming couple of weeks. We've been working on it as well as some other projects. We are going to do a handful of premieres before we release this. Before we release our Tea Party documentary, we want to be in a handful of cities and work with some of the Tea Parties to have a viewing there, to make a night of it, to have a fun evening where we can get together and enjoy this and do some good. We're looking at probably 5 cities over the course of a couple of weeks. We are likely going to do Cleveland. That's one of the 5 we're pretty sure on. We're working on, Cleveland, Akron, Canton, and northeastern Ohio. We haven't done anything. We haven't been there for any events. Skip and I have been all across the country and said, hey, that's an area I grew up in, yet we haven't been there. So we will likely do that. Boston is likely. Those 2 are being actively worked, and I'm pretty sure those are going to work out. Of the other 3, we're pretty open to this. I had hoped to do one in Virginia. I know a lot of people there. That's some of my stomping grounds when it comes to the Tea Party. I haven't heard back yet from any of them. I bring this up if you are interested in hosting one of our premiere parties. We've got plenty of time. We've got months to put this together. I'm just putting it out there now. Get in contact with us. We're hoping that you could, whatever Tea Party it is, could draw from a handful of other Tea Parties in the group and you can make it a fundraiser. It's going to be a free premiere. I mean, we're not going to charge you for it. So we'll come. We'll watch it with you. We'll have a good time. But let's make it a fun event. Too often the rallies are pretty stressful. People are working behind the scenes to get a lot done. Let's make a fun event out of this. The Tea Party documentary should be great. So if you're in, we have 3 open dates at this point. We have some we've contacted and said, hey, what do you think about it? We're looking at some. I'd like to do some out west. Arizona, we asked Mike Broomhead, who fills in for the Glenn Beck program as well. I said, hey, you think an Arizona Tea Party people would be interested in it? I've toyed with the idea of doing Vegas because I'd like to, be around Nevada. It'd be nice
it's important, it's
for us
it's
to
a big
be in
state,
Nevada for a while, and
there are more conservative parts of Nevada too. We could probably drive some people.
I want to gamble too. I like to throw the bones. I mean, we'd love to be in Nevada. Los Angeles, Southern California, we do something there. What about the Northwest? Although we've been in Salt Lake City last 4th of July, Independence Day. We didn't do upper Northwest and, Washington, Oregon. Now, granted, I know that's a liberal hotbed, but so is Boston, and there's still great groups up there. I think outside of, not Portland so much, but if somebody told me right, if I remember right, the Bend, Oregon area is very conservative area, whatever, some Tea Party groups. We'd love to go there. Any of these we'd consider. It's just a matter of seeing which groups come in first and, which ones play out strategically because we got to travel. But if you contact us, there's a good chance we could put something together. What about Texas? We're going to end up in Texas, and we've done some stuff, but most of that's just been on the air with the Blaze. But we do that. Anyways, if your group, if your Patriot group, your 912 group, Tea Party group is interested in hosting a premiere party, you can do it as a bit of a fundraiser. We could do it as a fun night. This could be an opportunity to have a little bit of fun with this and to see a documentary that really tells the story. And, of course, we still are looking for your video footage from any events you've put on. We'd love to include your Tea Party footage, your logo, some of the events you've put on. Just send the pictures and or footage. Please don't send us like an hour dropped into it. Maybe 10-minute footage here and there at docthompsonshow@gmail.com. That's the email address, docthompsonshow@gmail.com. Include your name, your Tea Party, so we can credit you on this stuff, the city, and if you have the date, that would be great. It's going to be big fun, Skip. All right, what else? State of the Union last night. I was actually shocked the president didn't focus more on immigration. Why was that? That was supposed to be one of the cornerstones, wasn't it? The only thing we knew going into this was the president was going to talk about income inequality and minimum wage, which he did a big part on. But when it came to immigration reform, he really didn't do that much. Why do you think that is?
I personally believe he's not bringing it up because he wants to keep it fairly quiet at this point. They've already made their mind. They've already made their decision on what they're going to do. They're going to push this past. They just don't want to rock any boats until after the midterm.
I think he's trying to take a little credit for it. I think he wants his base to say, yes, look, I care about this. This is what I'm working on. But you're right. He didn't want to bring the hammer down, the bully pulpit, and demand that Congress do something because half of Congress already has. The Senate's already done it. The other half is getting ready to cave in. The Republicans are, listen, all of the Democrats in the House want it. And there's, from all reports, enough House Republicans that are willing to go along with it, too. That's the reason Paul Ryan and Eric Cantor and John Boehner have been working so hard behind the scenes to craft the right message in order to give them a pass, to give them a political pass so they can get reelected in the fall. That's all they're doing. Folks, they are not working on an immigration bill. They're not working on an amnesty bill. They're working on political cover for their amnesty bill. They are trying to say right now, all right, all the Democrats are in, or most of them, we don't have to worry about them having a pass on this. Because what they have to do, folks, at times when they say, all right, we need to pass this vote by so many, or pass this by so many votes. They're like, it's going to be close. It's going to come down to 2 votes. They strategically, based on politics and who's in good with leadership, will say, we'll allow you, Skip Lacombe, to vote no on this legislation so you can go back home and say you voted no, even though we need the vote. We'll say Pete has to vote it because he's not in as close a race, and we know you're in a closer race. This is the nonsense they do. So right now they're counting votes. They're saying most of the Democrats are in. We got all their votes. We got these Republicans who can vote and pass an amnesty thing, and it's not going to hurt them. Either the race is, the district is for them. That we know they got it sewed up. We don't have to worry about any challenger in their district. See, they're trying to worry about challengers right now as the primaries are coming up over the next few months. So they're trying to say who gets a pass, who can vote against this, and who we need to vote for it. So they're counting. That's what the whip does. He gets people together. He says, we need so many votes. He's going to whip them into shape. Here's what we need, and here's how many we have. They're the counter. They're counting their votes. Number 2, they're crafting a message that'll give them as much cover in the future. Things like they just wanted a better way of life and bring them out of the shadows, pathway to citizenship, all of this nonsense, when what it's doing is saying people who did the wrong thing, came here illegally and took jobs and services, now get rewarded for their bad behavior at the expense of the citizens who came here, the people who came here, legal residents and citizens who did it the right way, and also citizens. It's at their expense. It's not a job creator. Amnesty in an immigration bill is not a job creator. Governor Snyder of Michigan laid out this well. Immigrants start so many jobs, and we know for every business, or so many businesses, and for every business that they start, they create 2.8794531 jobs. Really? Why would that be? What is that based on? You want citizens to create jobs? Then get the hell out of the way. You want us to create businesses that create jobs? Fine, get out of our way. The jobs can be created if you get out of our way. Why would immigrants create more jobs? It's BS. It's bogus. It's smoke and mirrors. They're justifying it because it's a payback to big business. It's a payback to unions. It's a payback to Latinos. It's a payback to the extreme progressives who want this. They're doing divide and conquer politics. They pay this group back. They pay that group back. They pay this group back. That's what they're doing with it. Ultimately, here's how it's going to play out. The Republicans are working on their message on how to spin these bills. Over the years, I've said separate it. Immigration reform is not just all of the stuff, the comprehensive, including all of these border protection and whatever. You can do them separately. Secure the border first and foremost. Forget everything else. Secure the border. And once you do that and prove that, then we could talk about the other stuff. That's quite reasonable. If you're telling me you're going to secure the border with all of these bills, if the Gang of Ocho bill out of the Senate actually secures the border, why not just do that first? Skip, The leftists, the conservatives, libertarians, most of them would all agree, secure the border, stop people from invading us. I would think that is an easy sell. If you can prove that this is actually going to work, I would think 80% of Americans are on board tomorrow with it.
Well, it has to be higher, significantly higher. It has to be 99%.
I was being
the back
conservative with it, right?
Crazy socialists who just want completely open borders.
Probably 90, 95, 98.
You can't argue against keeping ourselves secure.
Think about this. Securing the border would require spending money, right? You're going to have to hire people to build fences and security and border agents. Guess what that does? That's a big infrastructure, government job, spending, corporate. That's big money to those people.
It's huge.
So they get all kinds of stuff.
Create all kinds of jobs.
Secure the border first. Why wouldn't they do that?
Well,
because the reason they keep saying comprehensive reform, the reason they keep pushing that, is they know they can't get the amnesty done without it. They need the border security. That's going to sell it to conservatives and libertarians. That's why they do it. Secure the border first. Come back in a couple of years. We'll talk about the rest. Number 2, a separate bill that truly reforms legal immigration. A completely separate bill. Actually, they could pass that one now as well. And then come back. Those two. Border security is a separate bill. Immigration reform for legal immigration. The number of worker visas, the number of people who stay, how long they are, the price. I've said before, I passionately support and welcome loads of immigrants to come here legally. In fact, if we can, without hurting America, bring an additional 5 million every year, bring them. We've got about 1 million we legally allow into the country every year and have for years, more so than any other country. It's not even close. About 10% of those come from Mexico. Another 10% to 20% at least come from other Latin America countries. So I passionately welcome them doing it legally. If we could bring 10 million a year, 100 million a year, do it. It's good for America. If you do it the right way. To not, just takes jobs. That's all it does. It didn't work. Amnesty didn't work in 86. What makes us believe it would work now? So, reform it. Reform the legal immigration system. Make it easier and cheaper. And by easier, I don't mean the test is easier. I think the test should be more hard. I say make it easier from a financial standpoint so not just wealthy people can come to America. Do that as a separate bill. I'm fine with that. Good. And then work on amnesty, but they're not.
Even the most ardent supporters of the government, big government programs, would probably agree that generally speaking, the government is not very efficient. It doesn't do a very good job with these larger things. The more pieces involved, the more cooks in the kitchen, the more often things get messed up. Why they're trying to do something so big and so important. I mean, all sides agree that this is a huge issue. Those that want to offer amnesty and those that want to secure the border and keep things secure. Huge issue. Why would you want to do it all in one fell swoop?
How about a constitutional amendment along with this, Skip? How about a constitutional amendment that ties their hand from offering any future amnesty plans in any way? If it were possible to craft that. I know the difficulty there. If it was possible. 86, they did it. Here we are again. What makes you think it wouldn't happen 20 years down the road? So, what are the Republicans really working on? How are they going to get it done? What is the state of immigration? I'll share that with you coming up next on The Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson on the Blaze Radio Network.
Mercury.
This is the Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
888-900-3393 or tweet at Doc Thompson Show or at Skip Lacombe.
Good tweets coming in. Wacky Trebacki just learned stealth immigration reform is one of the Orange Man's 30 pieces of silver.
By the Orange Man, he means out of Syracuse? Is that...
No, John Baker.
Oh, because
he's orange, like the spray tan. Also, John W. learning.
Doesn't he have to get back to the factory?
To the
Wonka factory, isn't he?
Oh, the Oompa Loompa, yeah, head Oompa.
Yeah, they let him out for the night, huh?
Indeed.
Speaker of the House and head Oompa Loompa worker. I'm sure it's the unionized Oompa Loompa workers.
Oh, of course. The amalgamated order of
The
Oompa Loompas.
Oompa Loompas.
Also, John W. learning, my marriage is just like Congress. I vote no and the resolution still passes.
Hear that again.
Goodness, I just lost that one, too. My marriage is just like Congress. I vote no and the resolution still passes.
Wow, that's...
There it is.
Good night, Steve Cannon, wherever you are. On Young, now go. I mean, I don't know what else I could say to you. That sums it up right there.
Exactly.
You've said all. There's a new Gallup poll shows that the overwhelming Americans, the number of Americans, do not think that immigration is anywhere near a priority. If you ask people what's important,
what should D.C. be working on?
What should
right
D.C.
now?
be working on? A good chunk of what the president said and did is not what they should be working on and is going to fail. It has failed. It will fail. It shows immigration falls behind. Here's just a couple of the things that it falls behind. Healthcare costs, jobs, the economy, the debt, the deficit. Falls behind those things. As well as individuals' lack of money, ethics, and moral issues. It falls behind some of those things, too.
Really? All those?
Poverty.
Oh, that as well?
The gap between rich and poor. Education. It falls behind those things. Yeah, just so it's a little down. Foreign aid.
But see, then we get to...
Yeah, foreign aid. Yeah, no, there's a couple of others, too.
It's okay.
The personal freedoms, specifically NSA spying and Fourth Amendment rights. Second Amendment rights.
Okay, but after Second Amendment rights...
Securing the borders.
But once the border is secure, we can go and pass amnesty.
Our military readiness around the world.
But see,
Taking care of the military.
But finally, once we get through those couple of issues...
It's down there. In fact...
Americans want amnesty.
3% of Americans think that the immigration reform in any way is a priority that should be dealt with this year. I'm not talking just amnesty. I'm talking about even reforming the legal immigration system. 3%, yet they're pushing it. Why?
You're listening to The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson
on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury.
It's a couple weeks.
Doc Thompson.
All right, yesterday we did a huge expose on the Fast and Furious program that also, I believe, ties in with a completely separate government program of the federal government working with one of the drug cartels out of Mexico to allow them to bring in drugs into the United States and sell them and keep the profits, all for squealing on other ones. If you did not hear that, please share that with friends, listen to it, and then share it with friends and family at theblaze.com/Doc Thompson. It is the first hour right off, theblaze.com/Doc Thompson. This needs to be exposed. Now, there may be another little angle in this. A federal judge in Texas has accused the Obama administration of aiding drug cartels, saying that instead of enforcing immigration laws, agents also knowingly helped smuggle illegal immigrants into the country. Oh, yeah, and some of them children. Why they would smuggle the other illegals in, I don't know. So you've got them allowing guns to go to the drug cartels, drugs, and maybe illegals into the country. But in some cases, they're specifically saying the federal government helped bring in children to be with their parents. In a 10-page order, Judge Andrew Hansen said there was one specific case that he's working on, but there are others as well, that in one instance, the Customs and Border Protections agent helped to locate and deliver a child to an illegal mother. And this stems from children trying to sneak across the border, and then they get nabbed. And instead of turning them back, I'm not saying you have to leave them out in the desert to die. And you could put them in custody, whatever, and then take them home. They're not. What they're doing is they're saying, oh, where's your mom? She's in Florida. All right, we'll take you to Florida. In this case, her mom was in Virginia. They took her to Virginia. So not only did they break the law, they delivered her to her mom at taxpayer expense. They had to fly the child there. Man hours to accompany her to Virginia and to also fly her. And this is not the only case. This specifically one that I'm talking about was a 10-year-old girl whose mother, Patricia Elizabeth Salmarone Santos, had her daughter delivered to her. Her mother was paying somebody to smuggle the daughter into the country and got busted. So essentially, if you break into the country, your child does or whatever, and you're here, they're going to deliver it. They're not going to turn you back. All you have to do is get across the border, apparently. Taxpayers are not only allowing it to stay, but paying for that child to be transported. Does this all tie in with the drug smuggling guns? Well, according to him, in other cases, that, yeah, they've been smuggling other illegals. For what purpose? I don't know. They're going to pass amnesty when we have a Fast and Furious program where Border Patrol agents smuggled guns out of the country across the border. The border's not secure. We had a case where people came across the border and murdered Americans. The border's not secure. They used some of those Fast and Furious guns to murder a Border Patrol agent. The border is not secure. The government allowed drugs to be smuggled in and sold on the streets of America, killing people. And drug cartels profiting from it. The border's not secure. And in this case now, the federal government is not only not kicking the illegals out, they're helping to bring them in. The border is not secure. Secure the border. I don't know why that's such a difficult concept. I mean, what, you can't do it? I mean, there used to be a joke going around, you dig a moat. You dig a big moat. And then you take all the stuff that you dig out and you put it in New Orleans and you raise it above sea level finally so you don't have any flooding. That's a big joke, but it could work. I said, create our own new Panama Canal. Create a moat that is a mile wide right across the southern border. That's going to help. And this way you allow shipping in and we get to make the money instead of Panama. And don't build a lock system. Just blast the whole thing out of there. You could do it if you really wanted to. We put a man on the moon because we were inspired to do so. You want to kick those illegals out? You want to secure the border? You can do it if we're driven to do so.
Well, with how much money we spend on just crap, how much money this government pisses away every single day. Well, I would not be excited about somebody coming out and saying, hey, let's spend $50 billion on trying to get this thing done.
Wait a minute. 50,
damn, I would.
In fairness, it'd be like 50 trillion.
I mean, yeah, but honestly, I would appreciate at least somebody coming out with that gusto and trying to think outside the box, thinking of something that's going to benefit us in more than just one way, and something that's actually going to benefit us and not just benefit them politically.
That would, by the way, doing that would benefit us in dozens of ways, even financially, that I don't have the time to get into now, but it's a crazy idea, but it would work. It would take forever. It would be incredibly expensive, and in the long run would bring us all kinds of cash. It really would. Nevada became the 11th state to offer driver's license to illegals now. There's 11 of them, Skip. Skip was hit multiple times in New Mexico by people he believed were illegals.
Over the course of 18 months, I was in 3 separate accidents with people who I...
Their fault.
Yes, I was rear-ended twice. And then
yeah, but what about the accidents?
One other time, somebody came up and hit me on the front.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Rear-ended about the accidents.
And yeah, they both, quickly sped away. I mean, they likely had a warrant of some sort. I mean, all 3 times they were Hispanic people.
So now we've got 11 states that are offering driver's license to illegals. All of this is the chipping away to legitimize this in order to bring about amnesty. Nevada passed this law in 2011, and it was signed by their governor, Brian Sandoval. Does that name sound familiar, Skip?
Brian Sandoval.
Remember, we were talking about the list of potential contenders, and I said, I know there was about 5-6 people I didn't know much about, and a couple I didn't know anything. I said, for whatever the reason, I just don't know anything about Governor Brian Sandoval. I don't know anything about him. And the one thing I found out while doing research on driver's licenses is that he signed the legislation giving illegals driver's license in Nevada. That makes me say,
we can take him off the list?
You can take him off the list for that one act, because there are a handful of unforgivable political sins that I cannot support any political campaign or any job that you seek in the future. And Brian, you're excluded from the list. You're now dismissed for that by itself, because pushing amnesty or not dealing with immigrants that come here illegally in the proper way, you're done. The DMV in Nevada said that they estimate 75% of applicants who've tried to take the test, because it's only been in effect for a month or so, are failing the written test. 75% are failing the written test. So in Nevada, applicants have to correctly answer 80% of the questions, and there's 50 questions. And they have to pass the driving exam as well, and a lot of them are failing that. 75% failure rate. So whether it's because there's a language barrier with the signs, whether they don't know the laws, whether they can't drive, 75% failure rate. This is who you're putting on the street, Skip.
I would venture to guess that it has nothing to do with the language barrier either, because I would be absolutely shocked if that test isn't offered in Spanish.
You know what? That's a great point.
I would be absolutely flabbergasted if
it's not offered in Spanish. I am not shocked by this. I would say the number 75% may even be low. I'm with you. This is not surprising. I say it's not surprising that immigrants would not be good drivers. I say that as a husband and son-in-law of legal immigrants.
Oh, don't go there.
I'm just saying this does not shock me that immigrants don't know how to drive.
Don't go. This is not going to end well for you, Doc.
What? Skip, truth lives here. I'm just saying, not going to expand on it, that as a husband and son-in-law of legal immigrants, it doesn't shock me that immigrants don't know how to drive.
Dude,
now they're legal immigrants.
Your lovely Korean wife and Korean mother-in-law.
What are you talking about, man?
Don't go there, man. This is going to be bad.
How dare you bring up my wife and mother-in-law? How dare you bring them up? I wasn't getting at that.
You brought them up.
I just said as a husband and wife, or husband rather, and son-in-law of legal immigrants, I know a little about the immigration system, what people go through. It doesn't shock me that they don't know how to drive.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying, Skip. That's all I'm saying.
I'm surprised you. I'm actually offended.
Quick break. This is the Morning Blaze.
Not a puppy, a ninja, a dancing bird, or an angry kitty. Just a talking doc. This is the Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson on the Blaze Radio Network.
Mercury.
The Morning Blaze. Midterm Countdown. Spotlight. Nebraska.
Spotlighting the Cornhusker State this morning. Joining us now is Dan Frey. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Dan, what office are you seeking?
I am running for Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District.
What area is that?
It covers Omaha. Douglas County and part of Sarpy County.
Okay, Skip and I were through Omaha last fall and spent some time there. And I used to live in Lincoln, lived there for a couple of years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great town. It's a great state.
It's certainly the good life.
Yeah, exactly. I miss food.
They got the Runza, right?
They got the Runza, exactly.
Runza.
Runza. As a matter of fact, with the weather we've been having, Runza's been giving sandwiches away. It's a promotion that they have based on the temperature.
Why aren't we there, Skip? Why aren't we there?
Information that would have been helpful last week.
Yeah, there you go.
Dan Frey, tell us about your background. Tell us all about you.
Well, Doc, first of all, I'm not today, nor will I ever be, nor do I have a desire to be a career politician. I've been blessed with a career in the business technology industry, and over the past 30 years, I've had the opportunity to call on and work with some of the largest organizations in this country. It's given me great firsthand experience as to what drives this economy. And about a year ago, when the reality that I'd be running for office set in, I stepped away from my VP role that I had with the organization that I was with, and I stepped into a consulting role so that I'd have more time in my schedule, and I'd be a little bit freer with my schedule. Mm-hmm. So over the past about 9 months right now, I've been traveling the country coast to coast, working with small to medium-sized businesses, the very types of organizations that we need to drive this economy, to get us out of the hole that has been dug for us. So again, it's given me a lot of firsthand opportunity to see what needs to be done to start to drive jobs and to get this economy going again.
Now, are you from Nebraska? Are you married?
Well, a little bit like yourself. I was originally from Ohio. We moved out here about 20 years ago to get medical attention for what was my 1-year-old son at the time, and fell in love with the state and never looked back.
Yeah, it really is a great state.
So, yeah, I've had the opportunity to raise, my wife and I have had the opportunity to raise five tremendous kids. We've got 3 grandchildren, and this May I celebrate 29 years of being married to my best friend.
Oh,
and I can tell you, Washington has absolutely nothing for me, and they can give me nothing I don't already have.
Well, so how long do you think you'd be willing to serve?
You know, I don't have an interest in going there for the rest of my career. I'm 50 years old. I guarantee you I will not retire. I've put a target on there, 6 to 8 years at the very most, so 3 to 4 terms. I can tell you that the gentleman that I'm looking to replace, he put a self-imposed term limit on himself when he was running in his very first election of no more than 3 terms.
How'd that work out?
Well, he's now running for his 9th term. So it didn't work out too well. I guarantee you it'll work out for me.
Wow, okay. So why do you want the job then? What is it that's going on that has driven you to say, all right, something's got to change?
You know, for me, this is the next generation is used as a cliche so often in political stump speeches. But for me, that's the reality. I've got 3 grandkids, and every time those grandkids come over, I get to hold that next generation in my arms. And I honestly believe that we're about 2 or 3 election cycles away at the very most of not being able to recover for these kids the same opportunities that you and I had. And that's why I seek to serve. You know, it's about time that we send somebody to Washington that is more concerned about getting something done for the people of this country than they are about getting reelected. And, you know, at some point in time, what you say on the campaign trail has got to be able to be reconciled with what you do when you get to Washington. The gentleman that I'm running against, election cycle after election cycle, this man has committed that he is going to be the fighter for the people of Nebraska to go to Washington, cut spending, cut the debt, and cut taxes. Well, he's been saying that for what will be the last 16 years. But when he got to Washington in 1999, the federal budget was $1.7 trillion. And over the 16 years that he's been fighting to cut that, it's now over $3.5 trillion.
Talking with Dan Frey, FREI, running for Nebraska's U.S. House of Representatives, 2nd District. Dan, what's your website, first of all? I want to make sure I get that in.
The website is vote, and it's Frey, FREI.com.
Okay. It is pronounced Frey?
It is pronounced Frey. It's German.
Thanks, Skip. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Rick.
Problem, but it's
FREI, Frey. Okay.
Right. VoteFrey.com. We spell it wrong, but you know it works.
Okay, so vote Frey. So if people like what you're saying so far, they can vet you. If they still like you, maybe they send you some money, a couple dollars here and there. Maybe they help you campaign.
Greatly appreciate it. We'd greatly appreciate any help or support, and look forward to it.
VoteFrey.com. FREI. All right, let me do a couple of. We got about a minute. I want to do just some lightning round of things. Do you or did you support when you heard about them? Do you or did you support term limits?
I absolutely support term limits.
A flat or a fair tax, either one.
I would go with either, as long as we can put something in there that the politicians in Washington don't have free rein to continue to escalate that rate.
So some control over. Well, and the same thing, balanced budget amendment. Do you or did you support it, supposing that they didn't just raise taxes?
Yes, absolutely.
Common Core.
Absolutely not. There is no way that anybody is ever going to convince me that some bureaucrat in Washington cares more about my child's education than I do here on a local level.
All right, Dan Frey, thank you so much. VoteFrey.com.
Thank you. Y'all take care.
You too, buddy. All right, there it is. Go to VoteFrey.com. Vet him. You like him? Send him $5. Send him $10. Send his name out and about.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Only on the Blaze Radio Network.
Mercury.
Warning, the following program has been cited for its copious inclusion of the word freedom, and therefore has been deemed a concern. Listening may subject you to additional scrutiny by the IRS, DNC, TSA, NSA, PBS, IRS, NPS, RNC, GAO, DOJ, EPA, NASA, CIA.
This is the sound of common sense defending freedom. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Coverage on the Blaze and the Blaze Radio Network of the State of the Union address last night was very well received. In fact, we were using the hashtag on Twitter, the Blaze SOTU, S-O-T-U, and it ended up trending worldwide. Only two news agencies had that type of response. Fox News and the Blaze. And that's because of you. Fox News is bigger than the Blaze.
Fox News is
It's
enormously
huge.
big. It's gargantuan. It's a giant.
And yet we were the only other one to get that trending because that's how engaged you are. Skip and I also were using my SOTU response because we were asking for your responses last night. We were asking, we got the president's giving a State of the Union address. The GOP, the Tea Party. What do you think when you hear the president saying the things that he said? If you're like me, you probably have a lot to say. Go through and check those. My SOTU response. Jay Severin will likely use that today. Go through and read them. It's informative. It's entertaining. Brings up stuff maybe you didn't know. It's pretty effective. And feel free to share yours as well. Tweet at Doc Thompson Show and at Skip Lacombe. I'm going to give in a minute the real State of the Union. This isn't my response. I gave my responses like you did last night. I'm going to share the real State of the Union. Where are we? What's it look like for our future? What path are we on? What is the real State of the Union? I'll share that coming up. But don't forget to also use that hashtag What I Learned Today and tweet at Doc Thompson Show and at Skip Lacombe. People are sending them in right now.
Yeah, we had Rhino Hunter learning. Skip's been rear-ended in New Mexico. Thankfully, not by law enforcement. Hashtag colonoscopies. Yeah, that is.
Were you? Those are all in New Mexico, right?
Yes.
You weren't rear-ended in Pontiac.
No, I was not rear-ended in Pontiac.
No, not in a Pontiac. In Pontiac.
I was not.
Pontiac,
no.
Michigan. You weren't rear-ended there?
The cooker.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Let's just move on.
The cooker.
I don't know what you're talking about. Let's just move on.
Also, some of the My SOTU responses coming in. We had Michael chime in. One of the lies that bothers me most, I haven't hesitated in using force to protect Americans. Except for those in Benghazi.
Wow, that's right. I missed that one. Give me that again.
One of the lies that bothers me most, I haven't hesitated in using force to protect Americans.
That's what he said.
Except for those that were in
Benghazi, you're right.
Yeah. It's unfortunate there.
I got to be honest, folks. I was negligent. I had so many things that I was typing and whatever that I missed that one. That is powerful. Yeah. Let me share with you some of the president's statements in the past, either at State of the Union addresses. Yeah, I guess that's not States of the Union. State of the Union addresses. Some of those, or on the campaign trail, or as president, that he said that was contradicted last night in his speech. I promise 100% transparency in my administration. Skip Lacombe, has there been 100% transparency in administration?
No.
Has there been any transparency in his administration?
There's been less administration from a president who campaigned saying he would have the most transparent.
I promise no new taxes on family making less than $250,000 a year.
No, that's not true. First of all, we have Obamacare. We had the payroll tax go up in 2013.
I will allow 5 days on public comment before I sign my bills.
No, I think it was actually on like the second or third day of his administration he had already slammed something through.
I will remove earmarks from pork projects before I sign any bill.
We have more earmarks than ever.
I will end income tax for seniors making less than $50,000 a year.
That also hasn't happened.
I will put the health care negotiations on C-SPAN so everyone can see who is at the table.
We've had a lot of closed-door meetings and behind-the-scenes negotiations.
I'll have no lobbyists in my administration.
He has mostly lobbyists in his administration.
I'll close Guantanamo Bay.
Still open.
The prison at Gitmo, he'll close that.
Yeah, still open.
See, he said that again last night.
He did.
And he said
but this time he means it.
He's serious now?
Yeah.
I'll resign if I don't cut the deficit in half by the end of 4 years.
waiting for his resignation.
I'll unite the people of this great country.
He's done more to divide the nation than any previous president.
The health care bill will not increase the deficit by one dime.
Well, that's true.
No, it's not.
Well, it's increased by many
times. Okay. If you like the health care plan you've had, you can keep it, no matter what.
We know that is false.
If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Period.
We know that's false.
Obamacare will cost less than your monthly cell phone bill.
Also false.
I didn't set a red line.
Oh, well, apparently.
I'm not somebody who promotes same-sex marriage.
He does.
The war on terror is over.
It's not.
The sequester is not something that I've proposed. It's something that Congress has proposed.
He actually did propose the sequester.
We don't have a domestic spying program.
Yeah, we do.
We got every dime we use to rescue the financial system.
That's BS.
It's BS with General Motors alone. By itself, we haven't gotten it. Benghazi violence was caused by an internet video and demonstrations.
That's just ridiculous.
We only changed one word in the Benghazi talking points.
That's not true either.
Folks, these are just some of the bull that he has floated in the past and continued to float last night. Did you catch his guns comment? Do we have the guns piece?
I do.
This is a little piece of the State of the Union address. By the way, when the president started talking about guns, Piers Morgan was salivating. He could taste the blood of children in his mouth. He really could. No, that's exactly what that dirtbag and others do. I'm tired of them with the Rahm Emanuel tactics of as soon as there's a tragedy, hop on it for your own political gain. I avoid that. You don't think I could hop on it when there's a shooting to point out that it's a gun-free zone, that those poor children at Sandy Hook were sitting ducks? But I don't, because it's wrong. And every time Piers Morgan does it, I tweet at him and I call him out for what he is. A dirtbag, despicable, using the deaths of innocent people, using their tragic deaths to further his gunophobic agenda, his big control, big government, gunophobic agenda. So last night when the president's talking about this, Piers was, tweeting about it and whatever, and I had to call him out on that one as well. Here's what the president had to say.
Citizenship means standing up for the lives that gun violence steals from us each day.
Hold it. Gun violence. Citizenship means standing up for the lives that gun violence steals from us each day. All other violence that steals lives from us each and every day,
nothing to do with citizenship.
forget about that.
No.
That's not being a citizen. In fact, we don't care. In fact, we might start promoting you stabbing people to death as opposed to shooting them. Play this one more time from the top and listen. Whenever they say this nonsense about guns, it's always gun violence. What about stabbings? What about golf clubs, baseball bats, automobiles? What about poisonings? What about strangulations? What about heavy blunt objects used to bash people in the head? What about that?
Citizenship means standing up for the lives that gun violence steals from us each day. I've seen the courage of parents, students, pastors, police officers all over this country who say, we are not afraid. And I intend to keep trying, with or without Congress, to help stop more tragedies from visiting innocent Americans in our movie theaters and our shopping malls or schools like Sandy Hook.
He intends to keep trying, with or without Congress. So he's going to start walking a beat outside of schools? Is that what it is? He's going to get a gun outside of movie theaters and make sure they're protected? Is that what it is?
No, I think what he's saying here is I have a pen and a phone.
So he's going to try to do more gun infringement, more Second Amendment right infringement? Is that what he's saying?
By that is I have a pen for executive order.
Huh. That's really weird because he's protected by guns.
Well, that's different, though.
And his children and wife are protected by guns.
Totally different.
How is that different?
He's
that
the president. He's a
yeah, but
it
works for him. See, they are protecting the president. Trust me. There's history is our guide. People like to shoot presidents. It doesn't know any political agenda or affiliation. It's crazy people. Reagan was shot. There were several attempts on Jerry Ford's life. We've had 4 of 44 presidents shot and assassinated. 4 of 44. And attempts on many others. What is protecting him, Skip? Is it bunny rabbits? Is it rainbows? Is it unicorns? Is it little sheeps and candies, fresh little candies that's protecting the president? Is it starry-eyed dreaming? Is it wishing away the bad guys? What is it, Skip?
No, it's firearms.
It is firearms. And for anybody that's ever had the honor of getting a tour or going off the regular tour of the White House, you recognize something about the White House. There's not just firearms. Damn, there's firearms. They come at you large with firearms. They're snipers on the roofs, on the roof and the grounds of the White House. So it protects him. But he doesn't want your children protected. What he's going to do is continue to use executive order and really overstep his constitutional authority. I'm going to give you the real State of the Union because what the president gave you was a lie. It was a lie from the beginning when he said our State of the Union is strong. That's always a lie presidents give, or a lot of presidents have given. I'm sure at times it has been strong or stronger. He gave a lie, and he gave a propaganda campaign speech to get more Democrats elected this fall. A lie and political propaganda to further his party and his crazy wrong agenda. What is the real State of the Union? I'll give it to you next on The Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. Mercury.
$888-900-3393.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
So what is the real State of the Union? I mean, didn't you find yourself in years past as well when our union is strong? It's one of the things I always go, come on. The hell are you talking? It's not strong. What is the real State of the Union? What should the president have said last night? I mean, look around. Is there any doubt that we've got some real struggles? Look around. We know it's not great right now. So what do we need? I say honesty and leadership. The State of the Union is a perfect example. They're lying to us there. What is the real State of the Union? The president should have said something like this. The state of our union is distressed. We've lost our way in almost every way. Over the years, America has always been able to meet any challenge, even the most serious of challenges. But things are different now. Now we're faced with many of our most difficult challenges, coming from many directions. A $17 trillion national debt that ticks up each and every second, counting and counting up. In the next 60 seconds, it'll increase another $3,000 and another $4 million of debt by tomorrow at this moment, and another $4 million the day after that, and another $4 million the day after that. Hundreds of trillions of dollars in unfunded liabilities on our horizon. An unemployment rate that, when accurately measured and including underemployment, easily reaches into the double digits. A lack of future opportunities because of a lack of manufacturing that we've just given away. Massive individual debt, including college loans, because the world is different and people need college educations now. Personal freedoms under constant attack from our government. A porous border that puts our sovereignty in jeopardy each and every second. Job-killing amnesty plans for illegals. A government that is increasingly distant from we the people, that promotes an elitist lifestyle on the backs of the very citizens they say that they are there to represent. Division and dissension that has been ginned up by political parties for personal gain. An education system that is failing in spite of the fact that we have massive spending on education, more than anybody else in the world, and spending that continues to increase every year. We have a politically correct attitude that is stifling creativity and free expression. And it's being fostered by the very people who tell us we need free expression. Americans being divided and segregated for political opportunity. The attitude that somehow failure should be removed because if we remove failure, then we won't have failure. When it's just the opposite. Failure is what teaches us how to succeed. We have a lack of transparency, which has fostered a runaway government that uses its powers to punish political opponents and has led to many scandals that have gone unanswered and unchecked that we still live with. These are just some of the problems that we face today that are individually some of the biggest problems we will ever face. And they're all coming at us from all directions. These individuals, any of these individually, you should report that our union is not strong, that it's on the wrong path. How can you say it's strong, knowing that? Added up, we are on a disastrous course. There is some good news. The good news is we can turn it around quickly, at least parts of it very quickly, with true financial reform, a balanced budget amendment without raising taxes in order to balance it, a budget that calls for paying down the debt within 20 years, and we do the hard work to pay it down. Beyond 20 years, a small saving from each budget that's part of the balancing until we max out at about $1 trillion or $2 trillion, maybe adjusting for inflation, for emergencies. Elimination of all federal taxes, all of them, except on individuals and from one place. It should be based on consumption with no deductions, no exemptions, no paybacks, nothing. A consumption sales tax. But not the fail tax that's laid out, a simple consumption tax with no paybacks, deductions, exemptions. And if you can't do that, then a simple flat tax based on income. That's it. Education reform that lays out a plan for the states to follow, if they choose, before slowly winding down and eventually going out of business the Department of Education at the federal level within 5 years. And those savings put back into education in the states. A plan to slowly wind down the Department of Energy over the next 5 years and put that savings back into the states to do with what they want and back into the people's pocket to do what they want. A plan to slowly wind down the United States Postal Service over the next 10 years in favor of using technology for the same thing. Elimination of rules and red tape and mandates to promote job growth, development. And a promotion of the idea that anyone can truly achieve with hard work and timing, and that you don't achieve by simply taking from somebody else. But it has to be noted when you promote this that it's easier when the government isn't working against you. They don't have to work for you, just stop working against you. If not for the huge amounts of momentum that we've built up over 200 years and the loyal opposition of a few, we would have already collapsed. If not for the momentum of both military and economic power, we would have already collapsed. And the unsung heroes, of course, the loyal opposition, the middle American who's filled with anger daily at the mistakes being made by the D.C. elite, the forgotten American who works hard and struggles to do what's right, who toils to be a good person and cares for his family and raises kids or care for aging parents, that with broad shoulders takes the pain that is shoveled onto him from the new American royal class in Washington and feels it build up in his gut until it keeps him up at night pacing the floor for the frustration and fear that keeps locked inside to shield others that he loves from it till he drops to his knees and throws up his hands and begs for help. These are the people that has kept America going. These are the people that we should look to. And if we do, we can have a strong State of the Union.
You're listening to The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson
on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury.
Instead of punching a total stranger this morning, punch these numbers into your phone. 888-900-3393. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
All right, I got to apologize. My real State of the Union, I misunderstood. I thought I had it, but apparently I misunderstood. Skip, how did I misunderstand?
We got some clarification from our good friend Wacky Turbacki. He tweeted, the strong union he referred to as the SEIU.
Oh, see, that's the reason I got it wrong.
The State of the Union.
He was talking.
The unions are strong.
Thanks to all of my job-killing policies, my promotion of them, the states of the unions are strong. Okay, maybe that's what he's talking about. Mike Opalka joins us now from the Blaze Newsroom. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm glad you're clearing that up.
It was either that or Common Core standards, one of the two.
Well, the Common Core standards, they stand for showers and about 10 minutes at a time. That's what I understand the Common Core people are standing for. So, what'd you
think about the little speech last night, Mike?
The State of the Union's getting to be like a Springsteen concert with more encores than Springsteen. I was exhausted, and I know you guys were too, because you were doing radio way into the night as well. Yeah. It's getting to be where I long for the days when the president would basically write up a memo, hey, here's the weekly stats, here's where we stand, and just hand it in. I don't think we need the show. But, we're kind of hooked into it now. So like the awards show season, the State of the Union's kind of becoming that pat on the back kind of a thing.
Well, yesterday, Mike, I said the only difference between the State of the Union and the Oscars are pretty people inside and Joan Rivers outside.
Well, and excuse the background noise. I'm actually on a train today that got delayed, and the previous train was canceled. So
when you say a train, is that some sort of private train that managed to get delayed? What type of a train would that be?
This is a government-run Amtrak train.
Oh, what a shock! That's shocking. Okay,
41 years of after the takeover of the private rail industry.
Were you hanging out with Joe Biden? Is that what you're doing there?
Well, I will be getting off at the Joseph I. Biden station in Wilmington, Delaware. Yes.
Wait a moment.
There's a Joseph I. Biden station?
Yeah, I think it's named after his dad because he's Joseph R.
What did his dad do? Did he just name it after his dad?
Well, once the Obama-Biden administration took over, there was a massive stimulus program. I don't know if you remember that.
I've heard something about
jobs.
it. Mm-hmm.
Delaware, the tiny state of Delaware, I swear every road has been repaved monthly, and they rebuilt the entire train station, and it's beautiful. So, I guess it's good to have the vice president coming from your state. And,
it's good to be the king.
It is good to be the king, but if you're looking back on the State of the Union, I didn't see any big surprises. Did you? I was impressed by Mike Lee's speech. Unfortunately, it was among a pack of responses.
Yeah, I would say no. I think the only surprises, Mike, I really found is that he actually downplayed some of the big issues. That the gun issue, the illegals were really passing references. There was one little sentence or two, and then let's move on. And he focused on other things. I think that was.
Wait! You're a parent. Don't you know what that is?
What's that?
That this was a warning. He's going to do big stuff, and when you go, wait a minute. Why you did that on the guns? He's going, well, I told you. I talked about this. This is absolutely his ability to go back and go, no. I mentioned this in the State of the Union, paragraph 26, page 11.
Right before there. The big applause?
Yeah. So
right.
All that. Watch the executive orders come out. The states will have to try and counter them.
So you talked about the other reactions and replies and responses. What did you think of Kathy McLovin?
Well, interestingly enough, Chris Field, the editor of the Blaze magazine, is in her district, and he happened to be in the New York City newsroom yesterday, and he was all excited yesterday. He goes, I can't wait to see Kathy speak. She's really cool. She's tough. And she's a concealed carry weapons permit holder, and she straps her weapon to her inner thigh. And I'm going, the Republicans got a woman who's a CCW permit holder who packs her weapon on her inner thigh, and she's going to deliver the speech. This is going to be great.
Right.
And she talked about picking apples.
I was really disappointed in the response from her last night. I mean, she's talking about her 4-H qualifications.
I baked the pie once.
How she met her hubby.
Yeah, it was like a Match.com video profile.
Well, and according to FreedomWorks too, both all Eric Cantor, John McCain, and Lindsey Graham all have higher lifetime ratings than McMuffin.
Wow.
Yeah, lifetime she gets 72. They get 74.
Yeah, 74.
But last year she got 52%, I think,
believe,
from FreedomWorks. Yeah.
I don't think this was a smart response, and even monitoring the liberal media this morning, David Axelrod was telling MSNBC, anyone in the GOP who gets the phone call to do the response should just say, I got a PTA meeting that night. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yeah,
and I have to believe that's good advice. It's amazing. But can we talk about the chocolate-flavored toothpaste, or have you already done that?
I'm sorry. No, I didn't. Apparently, you have chocolate-flavored toothpaste?
Crest has announced they're unveiling a new line of products that will have mint chocolate Trek is one flavor, lime spearmint zest, and vanilla mint spark. And these will be in stores first week in February, so next week.
That's a horrible idea. I think they're going to lose this one.
Chocolate-flavored toothpaste. Do we really need chocolate-flavored toothpaste?
You know, you could just brush your teeth and then have chocolate. Those things could be separate, Mike.
I would consider the spearmint lime and maybe the vanilla, but I mean, chocolate toothpaste?
Yeah, it makes no sense to me, because aren't you supposed to brush your teeth and spit it out? It always says don't consume the toothpaste. And if you give kids chocolate-flavored toothpaste, they're going to be squeezing that tube into their mouth and gobbling that stuff up.
That's it. Yes, but they'll have really white teeth, Mike. They'll have really white teeth. They'll get poisoned, but have really white teeth.
Well, there's trade-offs to everything, I guess.
Wow. So that's on the Blaze right now?
No, I'm about to deal with that. What we did just put up was Jimmy Kimmel did something brilliant again. He took his cameras out on the streets of L.A. 2 days ago and yesterday before the speech and asked people what they thought of it.
Before the speech? Nice.
Before it ever happened. And then quizzed them on stuff like, did you think the president was smart to wear that really crazy tie? Or what did you think of when he faked the heart attack at the end? And some guy really reacted to the heart attack question. He's like,
I thought it was great.
I thought he was just really trying to make a point.
Oh, trust me, a point was made.
Yes, a point was made. But there's about 2 minutes of really dumb people saying, well, I thought it affected different people in different ways, and of course those effects will affect people differently. Just great stuff.
So you're saying he interviewed a bunch of future politicians?
Future leaders, hopefully.
Future leaders, sadly. Wow, that was even worse, Mike. You made my joke worse somehow. That's horrible. All right, Mike, hang on 1 second. We're going to get a quick break in. We're going to come back and find out what we learned today. Use the hashtag #WhatILearned This is the Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze
with Doc Thompson.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. 888-900-3393.
All righty, that is it, ladies and gentlemen, the end of the Doc Thompson Show. But before we go, as always, let's find out what we learned today. We learned that over the course of 18 months, Skip was rear-ended at least twice. No telling how many of those were in hashtag Pontiac.
The cooker.
We learned as the husband and son-in-law of legal immigrants, it does not shock me that statistics show that immigrants have trouble passing driving tests.
That's going to be a problem for you, man.
Well, I'm singing everybody.
That is going to be a problem for you.
We learned that using Common Core standards, the president gave an amazing 100% accurate State of the Union address. By actual measures, he lied.
He did get the gold star, though.
We learned I've never seen Barbara Mikulski and Chris Christie in the same room at the same time.
Ooh.
There's just not a room large enough,
Michael Moore.
man.
Have you ever seen Michael Moore with them? We've learned that if Obama were to send a written State of the Union address to Congress, 90% of it would be redacted. We learned Kathy McMuffin. I have to edit that all out.
3, 2.
We learned that Kathy McMuffin McLovin's response was like an infomercial for Washington apple picking and 4-H. And finally, we learned you should not compare Nancy Pelosi to Medusa. That's wrong. She's clearly the crypt keeper.
Yes. We should try to keep those head jokes out of the show.
Skip Lacombe, producer, what, if anything, did you learn today?
I learned the best way to support the military is with applause.
Oh, wow. Skip, that's good. That's really...
We learned the president thinks cleaning trash out of congressional waste bins deserves higher pay than cleaning foxholes in Fallujah.
Wow.
We learned Obama thinks it's un-American to stand up against knife violence. We learned the State of the Unions is strong.
Very strong.
And finally, I learned the GOP's response to the State of the Union was Rep. McMuffin talking about 4-H. Defund the GOP.
Remember, you can get podcasts of this program, listen to them on demand. Recordings are at theblaze.com/Doc Thompson, theblaze.com/Doc Thompson. Michael Palka in the Blaze Newsroom. What, if anything, did you learn today?
I learned that the State of the Union is a lot like the Spice Girls movie Spice World. 92 minutes of my life I can never get back.
I also learned today that Michael Palka has seen the Spice Girls movie.
It was an assignment. I swear to God.
Yeah, right.
Remember the coffee for the...
That's why he's the stunt brain.
That is.
Meatloaf was in it.
Oh, now Doc's going to see it.
Now I may have to see it. I remember the official coffee of the Morning Blaze comes from American Pride Roasters. They're the official coffee of the Morning Blaze, and you can check them out at AmericanPrideRoasters.com. That's AmericanPrideRoasters.com with the Bacon Blast coffee. All right, Skip Lacombe, what, if anything, did Rick learn today?
Rick learned the State of the Union address is a national soapbox for opposite day with Common Core evaluation standards, period.
It's opposite day.
And Rick also learned Crest have the solution to achieve that brown between the teeth after cookies look every day.
Yeah, that's really what it would do.
Brown between the teeth after cookies look every day.
Hey, we're looking for your Tea Party event pictures and video footage from the last few years to put in our Tea Party documentary. If you have some and you'd like to donate it to us, we'll put you in there if it's good, and we'll credit you. Just send it to docthompsonshow@gmail.com. docthompsonshow@gmail.com. Make sure to include your name so we can credit you. Tell us where it happened, what city, what area. And if you have the date, that's great too, but not necessary. All right, Skip Lacombe, what, if anything, did the listeners learn today?
Muted Mind learned 1 full-time job lost equals 2 new part-time jobs created.
Yeah, that's the formula they're using.
Powerful.
Very. I mean, what is the net gain? A job. That's wonderful.
Exactly. Rick learned the Prez will help out veterans with the new health care by slashing their benefits. Don't know how that works, but Techru learned why give someone a carrot when you can just lead them around with it.
That's pretty deep. Oh. Good for you, Techru.
That's from Techru, tweeting about carrots. Tom learned close-ups of Nancy Pelosi prove lipstick will stick to a pig's butthole.
All right, let's move on.
Kathy and the Berg learned State of the Union was a dog and pony show featuring Sid the Sloth, Gaston, and Rin Tin Tin.
Wait a minute. Wait, give me that one more time.
State of the Union was a dog and pony show featuring Sid the Sloth, Gaston, and Rin Tin Tin.
You know, you could have also said featuring John Kerry and Nancy Pelosi.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Featuring... I screwed that up. Featuring Nancy Pelosi and John Kerry. It's a dog and pony show.
I had no idea Sarah Jessica Parker was going to be in attendance last night.
That was John Kerry.
Oh, I'm sorry. John W. learned my marriage is like Congress. I vote no and the resolution still passes.
Mike, is your house like Congress as well? Mike, he bailed on us. How dare you?
Donna learned, according to the POTUS, America does not stand still, but the climate should stand still.
That's a great point.
Let's see. Call Mika learned the government tells us not to buy drugs while they are buying drugs.
Yep.
To clarify, they were helping people buy drugs
and allowing them to be bought.
Yes. John learned it's going to be a cold night for Doc in that doghouse. Good thing he's got the mannequin to keep him warm.
Edit that whole thing out. That shouldn't make the air. Get rid of all that.
Oh, the thing about the mannequin?
That's all getting edited out.
Okay,
No one will ever hear it.
Don't worry. I'll edit out the mannequin.
Also remove it from Twitter.
Okay. Quantum Flux learned President Obama's version of the State of the Union is short for State of the Unicorn.
All right. Hey, Skip and I are going to be in Kentucky for the Unbridled Liberty Tour coming up Saturday the 8th. Saturday the 8th of February at the Met Center in northern Kentucky. Tickets are free, but please RSVP so they make sure they have the proper amount of seating and forms and handouts and everything else. Just go to eventbrite.com. Eventbrite.com. Kentucky Senate candidate Matt Bevin will be there. You need to meet this guy. He is solid. The NRA will have representatives, Heritage. It's It's going to be big. The Unbridled Liberty Tour coming up Saturday, the 8th of February. Just go to eventbrite.com. I'm sorry, what with all the talk of the State of the Union, I didn't get to the new numbers on procrastination. Those are going to come up 6 a.m. right off the bat tomorrow. I'm going to get to them tomorrow. What else do we have coming up on the program tomorrow?
Well, we're going to spotlight Indiana with our countdown. In addition, a wide variety of cutting-edge, compelling, hard-hitting topics that impact conservatives and all Americans.
Well, wait a minute. What does Glenn Beck have coming up on his show today?
Interestingly enough, a wide variety of cutting-edge, compelling, hard-hitting topics that impact conservatives and all Americans.
They're stealing our prep again?
I know. I'm
the same
tired
thing. What is Glenn wearing today?
Contempt.
Okay. All right. Remember, the Doc Thompson Show is a Skip Lacombe and Rick production. Sic Semper Tyrannis. Good night, Steve Cannon. Wherever you are, on Young. Now, you go home.
Contempt because State of the Union last night.
Well, I thought it was also
frustrated.
contempt for those comments as well, or contempt for you and your
that too, probably.
lack of performance in the morning.
Sorry.
The Morning Blaze
with Doc Thompson. Only on the Blaze Radio Network.
Mercury